Hiya, it's Lucy here, intuitive healer and business coach to women entrepreneurs. And welcome to another episode of the High Frequency Females. And today, this is a personal story of mine where I realised I had a belief, an unconscious belief, that I was still identifying with being a poor art student in my student days, and how that was impacting my business now, many years later. And so I just want to share this story with you because I work with a lot of creatives, and I also know a lot of creatives, as I tend to attract them. And I know that it's a thing that people struggle with, because if we think about successful business women, or certainly in my case, when I thought about successful business women, it was like this alien concept, really, that I couldn't identify with, because I identified more with an art student and being creative. But the big thing for me here that I want to share is that I actually identified, the reason I believe that I didn't identify with successful business women was because they don't appear soft. And they may be really soft behind closed doors, but the media portrays these women as quite hard, and you have to be cutthroat to be successful. You have to be hard and cutthroat and very corporate to be a successful businesswoman, financially successful businesswoman. And that's what I had in my head. Now, you might not agree with me, and that's totally cool. But I'm just sharing my own personal experience. And also, I think that one that other people would identify with as well, that I know from working with creatives and knowing a lot of creatives. So if you look at this, for me, I'll share this with you. So for me, what I used to believe is, if I brought up an image of a successful businesswoman, it kind of looks a bit like Margaret Thatcher, the grey hair, stern look, just not soft at all. And the reason I can't identify with that is because I am so soft. I'm highly sensitive, and I am highly creative and really soft. And it's even in my practices that I'm really soft. I'm not a healer or a coach that kind of goes right in there. Because sometimes, especially when dealing with delicate matters, it's not, I don't believe it needs to be approached softly. So that's why, apart from the not being creative, I felt that I couldn't really identify them with them. So this successful businesswoman was this outside alien kind of concept persona. And the one I was identifying with was a poor art student from my student days. Not that I actually took art. And this is the really funny thing. This is the funny thing about beliefs, because sometimes they don't, a lot of the time actually, don't really make sense. So I wasn't personally an art student. When over here in the UK, because I know I have a lot of American friends over there, here in the UK, when we have to choose what electives we want to do, which I think I was 14, I really wanted to do art, but I was told that I wasn't good enough. So I took PE instead. And so that kind of shaped that bit. But what I think I did is, because I was creative, I used to express myself through my clothes a lot. And I had some really wacky combinations. But so because of that, at university, all my friends were art students. Most of them were doing fine art degrees or photography or really highly creative subjects. And I just loved being with them. I loved their energy and their creativity. But the flip side of this is that a lot of my art student friends were struggling to finance their degree because of the cost of art materials and then putting on their exhibitions and things like that. It was very challenging to make ends meet because of all the materials you had to buy. And I kind of took all this on, took all these personas on of just being a financially challenged poor art student. That's what I identified with because they were all the people surrounding me. So yeah, bring that forward several years. I'm not going to say how long. And that still was impacting my business because I still, on some level, identified with that. And the thought or the persona of a successful, financially savvy businesswoman, even highly creative. And this is what I want to share with you as well. So when I looked towards, because I actually did this exercise probably about 4 years ago when I was looking for, when I first started out as Lady Digital in digital marketing, I was looking for people to look up to that inspired me, and I found it really challenging and really difficult because once again I couldn't really find anyone that was soft in business and very successful. And even now, if you look at people like Anne Winter, who's the editor of Vogue, you never see her smiling. You always see her with this stern face, at fashion, like New York Fashion Week and stuff. Highly creative people, or in that industry, even the models, that they come out with, none of them are smiling. And they all have this, for me, this hard persona. And the same with Victoria Beckham, who I think is incredible. She's very financially savvy, very switched on, and highly creative. But once again, the media portrays her as this cold, hard woman who never smiles. And I really don't think that's true. Apparently she's really funny. But because of this, I was just really struggling with it. So what I had to do was I had to release the art student persona because it was time for it to go. And the way that I did this was I took and I thanked her for all the creativity, all the kind of aliveness and the positivity and the creativeness. And then I actually used the words, I've written it down, I uncreate, delete and de-story the narrative of a poor art student across all time, space, dimensions and reality. So you could do this with anything you've got, any narrative that's going on for you that's an old story which is stopping you from stepping up and stepping into that woman, that man who you choose to be in business. You can use the same thing. So it's I uncreate, delete and de-story the narrative of a poor art student across all time, space, dimensions and reality. And then I just repeated that over and over. And then once you've released that, it's the same when practice EFT. So once you've released anything, we need to fill it back up with positive. So that's when I do a positive round of tapping. So with this, what is the new narrative that I want to create? Because we create our own reality. So what's the new story? So the new story is I am financially successful and savvy, highly creative and artistic businesswoman who feels empowered, feels really strong, and just choose your own new narrative, your own mantra, if you like. And when you do that, state the first bit of what you would like, but the second bit, how you'd like to feel. Because we as women, the way we manifest, or if you don't like the word manifest, bring something into our lives or make something real, is through feeling. As soon as we can feel it, that's it. That's when the magic happens and it will show up for us. There are other bits to that. We're like releasing resistance and attachment and stuff like that, but that's for another video. But basically, as women, if we can feel it when we vision it, when we think about it, then it's like our bodies and our minds imagine that we've already done it. We've already succeeded at it, and then it appears. So at the end of your affirmation or the end of your new story that you're now filling up your subconscious mind with. Add in the feeling. How would you like to feel? How's this new person, this new story going to make you feel? And then the other thing that I did was I actually sat down. The ideas actually came to me in the shower, but as they do. But yes, then I had to find people that I could identify with on who were highly creative and who were very successful financially and in their field. So for me, I'll just share with you a couple. So one of them is Madonna, but not as Madonna is now, because I actually find her quite intimidating. But it was Madonna in the 80s, where she was crazy outfits, colourful outfits, and so very, very creative, and then also creative in her music. So for me, I've found particularly music artists, because I can identify with them in their songs and their lyrics, which is where they tend to be more vulnerable and show their softer side. And as I was saying, the issue I was having with successful businesswomen was that I didn't find them soft or approachable or show their vulnerability and still be able to be successful, even though I am acknowledging that that's not truth, because a lot of that is how the media portray these women. So yeah, and that again is another story. But so I just want to acknowledge that. But yeah, so one's Madonna in the 80s with her colourful outfits, and now she's spanned decades and is a very successful woman, not only in her field but also financially as well. Another one is Sharon Osbourne. So I love Sharon Osbourne, and she comes, if you ever watched X Factor or interviews with her, she comes across as very ditzy, you know, not really knowing what's going on, which is just totally opposite to the truth. She is very successful in her own right and financially savvy, and managing those debauched bands that she did. I mean, she is one badass, but you know, you wouldn't think that to look at her, because she's still very soft and you've seen vulnerable sides to her. And then the third one that I'll mention, I have got others, but the third one that I'll mention is Taylor Swift. I'm a massive fan of her because she, once again, is very, very successful. And you can connect with her through her music. She shares a lot of her vulnerability, but she's also highly creative because she plays all the instruments and writes her own songs. And so no matter how the media portray her, not that I actually read papers or anything like that, but no matter how the media portray her, I can still get an understanding and connect with this highly successful person because I've heard her vulnerabilities in her songs, so I can connect with them. And then what I would suggest is putting them on a vision board if you want to get creative with this, and if you really want to upgrade your imagination around it. Because for me, I'm a very visual person, so if I'm just seeing yeah, to really bring it home, the point, I need to see a vision board or see things like that. So I hope that helps if you are a highly creative person, or if you just struggle with identifying with successful businesswomen or men, because that persona just doesn't really feel right to you yet, or you can't really identify with it yet. Go back and see if there's a story that is stopping you from identifying with that, and then seek out some people who you can identify with. Oh, actually, I'm going to share my other one just quickly because it's just popped into my head. So the other one is a lady that won the amateur master chef over here a few years back, and once again highly creative. I'm a massive fan of amateur master chef because how they can go from creating meals in their home to Michelin star is just incredible, like so creative, and it's actually art that they produce. So, and I'm a massive food lover as well. So once again, something I identify with, and she's now built an entire empire and is very successful. So it could even be something that like a hobby of yours, or something. If you think outside the box, it doesn't necessarily have to be the people that come top of Google, is what I'm saying, like perhaps the Victoria Beckons, which you might not identify with. Okay, lovelies, well that's it for today. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love some hearts or some thumbs up, and if you want to leave any comments below, or if you've got any questions for me, I would love to answer them because I love questions. And if you would like some help in up-leveling, upgrading your mindset, or if you would like some help in just stepping into and becoming empowered the way you want to be, stepping into that successful businesswoman persona that you want to, then I would love to support you. And I'd love to invite you to have a chat with me, a complimentary chat. No, there's no pressure, there's no... it's totally up to you, and it would just be a chat and getting to know each other better and seeing if I can serve you. Thanks for watching, guys, and I shall be back probably next week with another high frequency females video. Thanks for watching. Bye.